good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are back live. So nice to be with you once again. A belated Selamat Hari Merdeka, Selamat Bulan Kemerdekaan to everyone. I hope you're doing well this Thursday night. We're back again with a very special guest. As always, all our guests are special. And of course, we've got a very special co-host with me. Avi, how are you doing?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
Okay, things are good. I'm very excited to be back live. It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Yeah. We keep taking a bit extended breaks, but in between that extended breaks, we have always got something new lah. Today, something new is before we bring our guests, we have yet another sponsor lah, guys. I mean, my goodness, we're making millions here. We're really not, but but yeah. Avi is going to tell you a bit about our latest sponsor while I get everything set up here. Give me a minute. Yes. Avi, go ahead.
Okay, so this week we are powered by Panda Speed Shop. These guys, they are, in terms of car restoration and getting spare parts and all that, they are the experts. So they are based in Klang, but their business mode is online. So you can check them out on Shopee. And also, if you have any details which will come towards the end of this video, you can contact them, via phone call, or you can follow them on Instagram and also Facebook. But if you really want to get spare parts, the best thing to do is to go through Shopee. And if you want any advice on car restoration, like for example, you have a Myvi that needs to be modified, the best thing to do is to call them, to have a chat with them, and discuss on what you can do for your car. So yeah, those details are there. The number is there. Please do contact them. I guarantee it will be really good, because one of my cars back home is restored by them. So yeah, satisfaction guaranteed.
And just for everyone's information, Avi drives a footballer's car. So there you go.
What? No.
All right. I mean, thank you very much to Panda. What is it called again?
Panda Speed Shop.
Panda Speed Shop again. Yeah, thank you so much for powering today's show. Yeah, and speaking of today's show, it's time to bring in our guest. This man is a personal hero of mine for many reasons. But the most important reason I think we're going to talk about in our very first question. He is none other than Sri Pahang stopper, Nick Swirad.
Hi guys.
I hope I got that right.
More or less, mate. Yeah, more or less. It'll do. I've been called.
More or less. I'm so sorry. Nick, how are you doing, man, today?
Yeah, I've just got back from training, mate, so I'm absolutely knackered. Dollar put us through a tough session today, him and Fandy enjoying seeing us suffer. So, thanks for having me, mate. It's a pleasure. Abhinesh, I'm liking the United jersey behind you, by the way. I didn't see that before.
Oh, you don't see the Arsenal jersey at the back then?
I'm not asked for that one, mate. I'm asked. That's a classic, mate. I'm liking that, pal.
So you've already started the banter, huh?
Nick, did he tell you whose jersey that is?
Oh,
no, go on.
Come on.
That jersey was signed by Robin Van Persie.
Oh, wow, what a guy.
Yeah, exactly.
What a guy.
Listen, pal.
Yes, exactly. So I guess everyone can kind of decipher that Nick is a fellow United fan like me. So we are actually going to start off with a very interesting fact about Nick. Now, his first club was FC United of Manchester. Now, if everyone doesn't know what this club is, it sounds like Manchester United. It's not. It's a fan-owned club that was formed in opposition to the Glazer takeover. That's right. The hated, infamous Glazers, who came in and so-called ruined the club and all this kind of thing. This club was set up in opposition to that. So my first question, Nick, tell us how you kind of started with them, and tell us a bit more about your time at that club.
So, as I said before, my dad's a lifelong United fan. Started watching them in the 60s with George Best, and saw them win the Champions League. I mean, the European Cup and all that from back in the day. So he's a lifelong Red, and he was kind of priced out when Sky Sports came into the Premier League, opened up and prices went up, and maybe the working man was priced out of going to match day at Old Trafford. So Yeah, we actually used to watch Bury. I don't know if you know Bury in North Manchester.
Yes. Yeah.
Watched it for a few years. And then FC United were formed, and it was kind of like a working class version of Manchester United, where all the local fans would get together, sing the same songs. And yeah, me and him started going. We actually found the members of the club as well. So we started going to that. And I think when I was 16, I left school and I went to Manchester College and started playing for the youth team there, FC United youth team, the Manchester FA, and I kind of worked my way through. I made my debut for the club at 17 years old and was lucky enough to make quite a few appearances for the club as a young boy. And honestly, mate, it was fantastic. You know, it was you're putting on a red jersey every week. You know, you're hearing United fans, you know, singing the United songs from back in the day and singing your name and all that stuff. And as a young lad who was I was never involved in professional football as a youngster, it was kind of like it was unbelievable, to be honest.
I mean, that sounds like an absolute dream. My goodness. So how did you kind of get started in that kind of football career? I mean, when did you realize that this is something you wanted to do?
Oh mate, it was my dream since I was young. But like I said, I was never. So there's the other mixed boys in Malaysia at the moment. I think most of them have been in a professional environment at some time during their careers. For me, it was kind of I've never been involved. I first started getting like serious coaching at Manchester College, so it was nice. The college I went to is like it's in the shadow of the City of Manchester Stadium. It's right next to City of Manchester Stadium. So I spent about 3 years there, living there, breathing, studying, and whereas I feel players out of the professional game came to the non-league circuit, coming kind of down after getting released by Manchester United or City or other local clubs, I was kind of feeling I was going in that direction, and yeah. I played non-league in around Manchester for 4 or 5 years. Got a lot of experience there, mate. I'll bringing it back to Malaysia now. You see the young boys. You know they're still considered young at 23, 24. You know, and when I was 20, 21, I played probably over 150 non-league games. You know, in the Manchester region, and I feel that kind of grounding has helped me so much coming into Malaysian football now in terms of, you know, giving me a foundation. But being honest with you, I never really. It's difficult to make the jump to the football league and professional football from non-league. There's so many good players in the UK. You know, there's such a lot of competition. So, being honest, I didn't. Although I was working towards it, I'm not sure I ever believed I'd be a professional footballer.
Right. And, you know, it's incredible because, you know, as you said, there's so much competition at that level, but your career took you all over the place, including the US. So what was that like? How did you land up, you know, across the pond?
No, that's thanks to my mum. I was actually coaching over there. I was coaching like in the city, Manchester. I had a job there for a few years while I was at university. And my mum showed me this opportunity to coach in the USA. And it was in a place called Montclair, New Jersey, 20 minutes from New York City, Manhattan. And yeah, I jumped at the chance. I went for the job interview, got the job. And I spent 9 months in the suburbs of New York City, which again, you know, in terms of life experience is probably the best 9 months of my life. I think I've spoken to Avinash about it before. You know, it's I was very, very lucky to. Although I didn't have the professional background, I was very, very lucky, thanks to my mum and dad as well, to have such life experiences, you know, in my teenage years and early 20s, and I feel, you know, very blessed about that.
Right, and now of course you're here with Pahang. How did you first find out about Malaysian football?
You can't, after spending a few years in Manchester non-league scene, you go into the same grounds, you're doing the same thing, you know, you're training twice a week and it's absolutely freezing. You know, honestly, no, it's not even a joke, you know. I used to play for a club called Stocksbridge. I don't know if you know them. It's where Jamie Vardy.
Right.
Yeah. He was there like a year before me or 2 years before me. But honestly, mate, it was like between November and January, it was fucking freezing, mate. Like there's snow. You're playing in 3 inches of snow sometimes, and it was, oh mate, it was awful. So you get bored of that kind of thing. There's only so long you want to do that kind of. So in the end, obviously my mum is from Penang, and I'd always looked at the option of going over there, but it was trying to find the key to open the door to Malaysia. Fortunately, I came across an article about Junior Eldstyle, and I saw that Scott Ollerenshaw was his agent. So then I was on the internet looking for Scott Ollerenshaw. I messaged him about his Borneo Cup on his Borneo Cup email, and he replied to me. And I was, I think there was an influx of about six or seven mixed boys in 1 year. And thanks to Scott and TMJ, I was able to find my way into Malaysia, and it was pretty surreal. I'm sure you've got questions on entering Johor too, but yeah, it was lucky. I feel very, very lucky. The timing was right, and yeah, thanks to Scott and TMJ.
At the time, it was you, Darren Locke, Dan Ting. Who else were the other players?
So Dan went to Negri. Darren came in halfway through the season. The original lot were me, Cullen Ferns, Shaz Ramley, Stuart Walk, and Sam Somerville. So we all went to JDT2, and yeah, how do I put this? It was a culture shock, to say to say the least. I don't know. Shall we go on to that now, or is there anything?
No, I can't. Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, obviously there's. Now, first of all, I think the idea of bringing mixed boys into Malaysian football was still quite a novel idea. You'd only had Junior and Matt Davis before that, and Brendan as well. So suddenly, for 6 lads to step off the plane and start playing in JDT2, it was difficult to integrate ourselves, to be honest with you, at the start. It was really difficult, to be honest. And for me personally, it was very much a massive culture shock joining Johor. In terms of my background back home is money's not obviously a bad thing, but it's not something that that earns. It doesn't dictate who you are. And for me to come into an environment where obviously there was quite a lot of money, but it was flaunted quite a bit as well, it took some adjusting for me. And in the end I settled down, and I was grateful to TMJ and Benjamin Mora for giving me that chance. But yeah, my God, you're a lad from where I'm from, kind of coming into that environment. You've got the Hummers coming past, you see all the police cars, you see TMJ rocking up and that. It was a totally different world. It was a totally different environment. And obviously I'd come from non-league in the UK as well. Coming into the facilities in Pasir Gudang and Johor, to say it was a culture shock is an understatement. And I'm sure you'll speak to some of the other lads as well. Sometimes I'm sure I look like a fish out of water there, because it wasn't my people, it wasn't my environment. But in the end, thank God I got the time to adjust, and I'm forever grateful to TMJ and to Benjamin Mora for giving me that opportunity.
Right, and I think we're going to go to our first viewer question just on the back of that. Another thing that some of our viewers might know is, of course, that you played in Thailand. So Muhammad Anfu, I think, is asking, what difficulties did you have there, and was it tougher than the Malaysian league?
It's different. It's very different. For me, I was only there a short period of time, a month, and I played 4 games there. But it was kind of the adjustment off the field, which I'm kind of most proud of, because I went to this place, Nong Bua, fantastic club, fantastic people. It's in the middle of the jungle. It's in the middle of nowhere. No one speaks English. there's one coffee shop in the whole village.
Wow.
No, honestly, it was incredible. It was incredible to go there. Adjusting again in terms of, you got Johor, you've got the other side of the coin here, where you're in the middle of nowhere. But the quality of the football was good. I feel like, so Malaysian football, I think the imports, with the money in Malaysian football in the top league, the imports are a higher quality than the Thailand Division 2. But in terms of the local players, they're probably a similar level to the Super League. And I think the professionalism over there is the culture is a bit different, and yeah, it's definitely different. And I feel like you've got the creme de la creme of Malaysian football, the national team, but below that, I think the structure and the infrastructure in Thai football is way ahead, to be honest with you. This was just a normal Division 2 team, but they had 2 soccer academies in the middle of nowhere with hundreds of kids there, 5 a.m. doing kick-ups, doing training every day. And like I said, Malaysian football kind of it's nice. The stadiums are full sometimes. You've got the big stadiums. It's all on YouTube. It's, the kind of the glitz and the glamour at the top is brilliant. But I feel like the foundation maybe isn't as strong as it could be, even though things are changing and progressing. Whereas in Thailand, the foundation's solid, and yeah, like I said, it was different. It was different. One thing I would say though, actually, on that note, is I feel like my game is kind of the Malaysian game is quite physical. It's quite up at them, win your challenges, win your headers. It's quite, they like skillful players, the fans. Whereas over there, I think there's a bit of a deeper understanding of the less glamorous roles in football. Like your Makaleli role, your number 6. And for me, maybe I have a bit of a less glamorous role. I think when I went over there, I got appreciated straight away, which was nice.
Okay, now back to Malaysia. I mean, you from JDT, you've gone to clubs like Melaka, PKNS, Selangor, and also Pahang. And as a professional player, having moved to various clubs over the years, adaptation is one thing that a professional needs to look at. So how did you cope with the various styles of play, the various styles of management, the various styles of coaching, the environment, and everything? What did you tell yourself every day to make sure that, what, I'm here, this is how it's going to be, this is what I'm going to do it to adapt?
It's difficult. It's very difficult, but I feel like I actually work with a sports psychologist back home.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's kind of, at first, you can get quite emotional and quite caught in the moment, but speaking to other people, working with other people, you get to have a bit more perspective. You get to take a step back and see the bigger picture. And there's been quite a few times where I've been frustrated, very frustrated. In fact, Benjamin Mora went to JDT1 at the beginning of the second season, and whereas he appreciated my style of play and my game, I think it was Hamzaini, he was a good guy, good coach, but maybe I wasn't his kind of player. So that was a difficult few months where I wasn't really playing that much. And for me, I think I always try and focus on the process, focus on the work. And I kind of, I try and believe that it's going to pay off in the future, Sometimes it doesn't, Selangor it didn't, for instance, but you got to keep doing the work, and there's always something to take from each experience, isn't there? I think like now I've got a little bit more of a name in Malaysian football. I can kind of have a bit more confidence that if it doesn't work out today, tomorrow there'll be another opportunity. But at the start, it's quite intense. You're fighting for your career, you're fighting for your life, and yeah, it can be difficult.
So the next question again is from one of our viewers. I think he's shifting it now towards your current football life. How settled is your life at Pahang? Also, he asks, who's the best centre-back you've played with?
Yeah, well, you're calling me out there, mate.
That's what we do.
Pahang's amazing. I love Kuantan. I love Pahang, the club. Like I said, obviously I couldn't get to go to the Thai top division because of the national caps. So Pahang gave me a lifeline and an option to join, and it's been fantastic. You know, Dollar and Fandi and Chris early in the year. I've been lucky to work with great coaches, and yeah, I love Kuantan, the place. It's very chilled. Sometimes a bit too chilled, but when I get the opportunity to go to KL to clear the head, I can do. You know? So, but yeah, fantastic club, fantastic people and place, and the best centre back. Ooh. I feel I could have had a great partnership with Taylor Regan, but that was a COVID year, so unfortunately I didn't get that chance. But I've been lucky to play with three quality French centre backs. I don't know what it is about the French. First of all, there was Stephen Teacott at Malacca. I don't know if you remember him. Yeah, he was fantastic. He used to be he captained Benzema in the France national team in the younger ages. And yeah, mate, he's got some career. You know, look that guy up. Bloody hell.
Yeah, I've actually looked up, but I didn't know he was captain of that.
Yeah, mate. I was on Netflix watching the Benzema documentary, and then I just see the guy. You know, he's going down the French line, and I see some guy with the armband on. I say, that's Stephen. You know what I mean? I don't know how he ended up in Malacca, but you know. But yeah, I was happy he was there. It was great to play with him. Obviously, Gulan as well.
Yeah.
He's a nightmare to play with, honestly. Absolutely, he had so much ability on the ball that he just give him the ball and he'd go walk about, do what the hell he wanted. As a player, he was unbelievable. As a centre half partner, a bit more difficult, but it was, you know, with the contribution he gave to the team, it was probably worth it. And also Joe Martial. Obviously, he had his injury problems. But there's kind of people who you know you get when you're standing next to another centre back straight away after a few minutes, you know, if the communication's right, you're squeezing the line, you're dropping the line. If there's a runner behind him, I can say hold. You know, just the small details. With Johan straight away, I had that connection, and obviously, unfortunately. He's had the injury problems and he's not involved anymore. But yeah, it was a real pleasure to play with him as well. But credit to the lads to play with now. You know, Muslims quality. Sherzod is fantastic as well. But if I had to choose, it'd probably be the three French lads.
Yeah, and in fact, there was another question along the same line. So Zain, yeah, we hope you answered that question. Before we go on to Avi's next question, we got another question on YouTube from a very good friend of the show, Sivan. What is it like having Manuel Hidalgo in the team? You know, he's enjoying his football after a short retirement from Wednesday. What do you think about that?
Oh mate, this guy's crazy. He's absolutely he's a head case. No, honestly. Every game, listen, every game, this guy loves to fight. I don't know what it is, mate. You get an Argentinian on a football field, the combination, they're absolutely, at first you're like, okay, Manu, calm down. You know, and sometimes obviously I've been captain this year, and he's kicking off, he's fighting with somebody by the corner flag, and I'm the centre back. I'm dead. And I've got to run all the way to the corner flag, and then come back to centre back. And oh, mate, it gets to the point where now I told him, you've got to fight your own battles, mate. I'm not coming over anymore, you know. It's tight. Oh, but he's a game winner. He's a game changer. You know what I mean? So it's worth it. But no, wonderful person. And obviously he was at Sheffield Wednesday, wasn't he, for a few years? And he's one of the few people that understands my accent. That understands what I'm saying. Yeah, no, there was a moment last week which game was the last one? Terengganu game. Dollar turns to me in the meeting and says, Nick, anything else to add? And I say, yeah, coach, I think we need to watch, you know, the side set pieces and this, you know, we work on the line, which we worked on yesterday. I just look around at Dollar and the team. It's just a room full of blank pages. Clue. Honestly, no one had a clue what I was saying. So then Dollar turns to Manu and to David Ravelli and says, can you translate for me? And then they translate. I've been here 7 years now, you know, I've had to deal with this stuff, you know. But, Manu, top drawer, top person. I can't speak highly enough of him.
Speaking about Johan Marshall, have you had any chance of asking about Anthony Marshall?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. He's very close to his brother. He's very close to his brother. But it's also when he came over, people thought he's Anthony Marshall's brother. This guy is. I've said it quite a lot, but I think so highly of the group we've got at Pahang now. You see the real team spirit, but this guy is just such a supremely good person, as well as being a good footballer. He's a fantastic person and a good professional in his own right. We speak about his brother, yeah, a little bit. Particularly, we watched the United games together.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's quite intriguing because obviously he sat next to me here. The last game, Southampton game, Anthony wasn't involved. And obviously he's messaging his brother while the game's going on. And we're watching on TV. It's quite strange, you know. As Manchester United fans, you're like, bloody hell, it's he's mentioning Anthony Marshall, but it's
so surreal.
No, yeah, for real. But the thing is, though, I've got to say, Anthony Marshall gives off this laid-back vibe. This thing. Johan's exactly the same. He's the most laid-back guy you've ever seen. It must be something in the blood in the Marshall family or something. But my God, you just want to slap him on the face sometimes and say, "Come on, mate, wake up." We've got a game. But brilliant person. And like you said, hopefully, I'm happy. Well, fingers crossed that nothing else happens. But Anthony's going to stay in Manchester because then Joe can come visit me. A few nights out in Manchester as well.
Before I get to the next question, I just want to ask you, you're working with two legendary figures in Malaysian football and also in the region itself. Fandi Ahmad, a Singaporean legend. Dato' Dollah Saleh, my bad, is a Malaysian football legend. So working with these two men, how has it been like? And I would like to know more on how is it like working with Fandi Ahmad, because he's revered in the region. Like, so many people respect him for what he has done to Southeast Asian football, and he's also the first Southeast Asian player to play in Europe for Groningen in the Eredivisie. So how is it like working with these two people in the training ground every day?
No, it's fantastic. First of all, I've got to say, Chris was a very good coach too. But maybe there was a bit, I don't know if they're going to ask me about him later, but maybe there was a bit of a cultural difference between his approach and the Malaysian football approach. But when Dollar and Fandi came in, it was kind of, okay, go, you've got the freedom, you've got to you go and enjoy yourselves. These two guys are brilliant people. The love and passion for their game, it's just about enjoyment. It's about liberation, I've got to admit, last year with Dollar, sometimes I was a bit frustrated with the defensive side of the game because there was so much liberty where you got players going all over the place. But Fandi's the combination of Dollar having the right mentality and giving us that liberty to play, with Fandi's kind of tactical nous and giving us the structure, it's been fantastic. The fact that both these players are so experienced, they've got so much knowledge, and they understand the mentality of the players. For us, that was a key thing. They don't give too much information, put it like that. They give you the critical information, they analyse, it's short, it's sharp. Here's the key factors, here's how we're going to perform in today's game, here's how we're going to go about it. And it's up to go guys, go and execute it. We do our best. If it happens, if it works out, which it has been doing, thankfully, then great. But if it doesn't work out, then we just go again. This, and having this kind of perspective on football and life has been brilliant. And you see, like I said, you see a massive unity and some great friendships in the group.
Before I pass it to Logan, I just want to ask one more question. It just came up in my mind. You spoke about Gamal, and I've spoken to some players and they said good things about Gamal, but then he has left the team. And now there's a new coaching staff. I would like to know the psyche of a player, how they adapt. I mean, how they go through this change, like, from one coach to another coach, does it emotional, does it have a, because as a professional, you have to adapt, you have to accept that, there is a new coach coming in, but emotionally, does it have a bearing because, you have to interchange and all that?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. It's like I've had a few managerial changes in my time. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not so good. For instance, at Malacca, I was working with Almeida, and I was very close to Almeida, like a second father figure to me. And when he got the sack, I was fuming, to be honest with you. I was kicking balls about, and I didn't really care. But then Ella came in and did a great job. But then in Selangor, Satya goes, Michael comes in, and the next week I'm out the door. It's kind of like there's ups and downs, and it's different. And I feel like the players have been. I'm not saying I'm resilient, but I feel like a key factor is that resiliency. To bounce back and not let the lows get too low and not get the highs. I know it's cliche, not get the highs get too high. It's difficult sometimes. You don't think there's anything around the corner, but obviously after Selangor, Thailand came about, and I think with experience, it becomes easy to navigate the ups and the downs.
So we have another question from Zain. You're quite popular, man. I'll tell you, we're getting a lot of questions from our viewers.
I'm very surprised. Honestly, I'm surprised.
I'm very surprised.
So basically, I'm not sure how much you can answer this, but he's asking who are the young prospects from the president and the Belia squad that he's good enough to maybe break through for Pahang.
We've got a good team. We've got some good youngsters. Because sometimes you see the younger players and they've got the technical skill, but something that's been lacking, I feel, the past few years is maybe the game intelligence. But I'm seeing players. There's Saiful. He's a captain of the president team. Quality player, but his understanding of the game. In fact, I'll point out in the game against Johor when we drew 2-2, I paired with Hasnul at centre-back. And David Rowley went off early in that game, and Saiful came on and scored the equalising goal, I think. So there's also Nash in defensive midfield, but for me, you've got Saiful, who's the captain, great game intelligence, and I think he'll have a very, very good career ahead of him. And also Hasnul, who's as a defender. I remember I spoke to Gulan one of the very first training sessions last year. I said, "Hey, that Hasnul's decent, isn't he?" And he said, "Yeah, he's coming on." And to see his transformation over the past few months, this guy's, for me, he's going to be quality, mate. He's going to be very good. Because, like I said, it's easy. For me, it's easy to be as a centre back. It's easy to be just a front, just big, go crazy for the challenges, just go chop everything down. It's the more subtle aspects of the game, which a lot of players don't. I feel it's not that well learned in Malaysia, but I feel that Hasnul has those qualities, and most importantly, has the mentality to want to learn, to want to grow, to pull you to the side and ask questions.
Okay, now speaking about Harimau Malaya. Okay, and when I first met you, you were part of the Air Marine Cup team. I remember you were part of the squad, but you couldn't play because you had an injury. But it would be great if you can share your experience, working with Tan Cheng Ho at the time, with the group of lads there at the time. And, injury when you're going to don the national jersey is a painful experience. So how you manage to come out of it to say that, you know what, I will get another opportunity. But since then, you've not gotten it. But I believe you'll get it soon.
Oh, mate, honestly, that was one of the most bittersweet moments of my life, to be honest with you. I never thought I'd get a national call-up, I've been honest. I didn't think I was playing that well that year at PKNS. I was playing right back out of position.
But you played well. You scored goals, Nicholas.
But no. But that's the thing. I'm a defender, though. This is a frustrating thing, though, mate. I'm a defender. You should be looking at my defensive capabilities. I scored 2 goals. That's an added bonus. Malacca the year before, I was playing at a lot higher level, in my opinion, But the frustrating thing, sometimes it's good and it's a bad thing sometimes.
Right,
where,
understand.
You can. I scored 2 goals, and what relevance does that add to my game?
But defensively, you were solid too, Nick.
Yeah. You're very
I
kind,
know
mate.
you like playing as a centre back, but then at right back, when the first few games of the season, you played well, which I told you.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it, mate. Appreciate it, pal. It's the kind of support I need. I was surprised, mate. Like I said, I was surprised, but I was terrified, mate. Honestly, as I said, one thing I think that's probably not plagued me, but it's been something that I've had to constantly battle against in my career is that kind of imposter syndrome. Is that kind of do I deserve to be here? Because, like I said, I've not had that professional environment from a young boy. I was a Sunday playing Saturday, Sundays in a local team in Manchester. So when I went to the Marine Cup, I'm being honest, I was shitting it. I was so scared. No. Honestly, that was the only word that came into my head. But I remember I went to the first session. I had a tight groin, and I remember I was so tense, so tight. And then what's he called? Matt Yo. We're playing just head tennis. He gave a ball in front of me, and I stretched for it. There's no need for me to stretch for it. Literally, the last kick of the training session, I stretched for it, and my groin just went. Shh. And then I couldn't believe it. I thought we had a bit of time after that to get fit, for it to heal. But then probably not knowing what he was doing, the assistant coach at the time tapped on my shoulder and he says, "Nick, I think you need to try and train today." And I was like, it's still sore. Why would I do that? So in my head, I was putting 2 and 2 together and thinking maybe there's a cut-off date, to get registered for the cup. So I played in the training session, and then it went again. And a few days later, I found out there was no cut-off point. There was no nothing.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and obviously, no one mentioned that to me. And, the physio, no one mentioned that to me. But these, like I said, these probably they don't. At the time, they didn't understand the consequences of the small details that they were saying. So they're all great people, great professionals, but just my bad luck at the time. And obviously that ruled me out. Unfortunately as well, the Nepal game, there's meant to be a Nepal game that was after the Marine Cup that was cancelled, which I would have been fit for. So I was, mate, like I said, I've not cried about football since I was like 8 years old. But I remember being in the shower just in tears in the camp thinking, this is like the one opportunity that might not come again. And I'm being honest with you, mate, for about a year or two after, sometimes when you wake up in the middle of the night, if that thought came in my head, I won't be. It killed my sleep as well. It was that it had that much of a not traumatic, but you know what I mean. It hurt that much to me. But maybe it drives me on to push again and maintain for a few more years yet.
This year you have captained Pahang. You have played a number of games as a regular. You have started games, and you have also impressed. Hopeful of getting into Kim Pangwan squad for the Kings Cup tournament end of September. Has there been any hints saying that you could be back?
Maybe, but I'm at the point now. I'd be surprised, mate. It's like this show, when you call me up to say, "Nick, I want to do this show," and I was thinking, wow, has Junior Alstar got a photo shoot tonight or something like that? Why is he calling me? So it would be a similar thing, if Kim calls me, I don't know whether Junior's busy that week or something, but no, it'll be nice. Obviously, I've kind of, I've had my hopes here so much that it's just I'm focused on Pahang. If it happens, great. If it doesn't, then it's one of them things, But I don't want to go back down that rabbit hole of. It felt like, mate, honestly, from doing extra sessions by myself in the rain in Manchester to being so close to getting a national call up, it felt like I'd climbed Everest, and then 50 meters away from the top point, I pulled my groin. I had to go back. And that's quite difficult to get over. So if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, then it's one of them things.
Okay. This one, the questions that we're going to ask now is a bit tough, I would say. Let me give you some context. Wherever I go overseas, people would call me an Indian, but I would tell them, no, I'm a Malaysian. So in your case, you are a Malaysian, you've got a Malaysian passport, and you've told me numerous times about how proud are you being a Malaysian, having gotten that call up also, you are so happy about it.
Mm.
Do you think people still do you find it funny that people still call you Matsale when you want to call yourself as a Malaysian and so on?
Being honest with you, the word Matsale doesn't really have that many connotations to it. I didn't grow up around this word, so I don't really know the history behind it and the negative, idea behind it. But for me, it was kind of the idea of being treated as differently.
Right.
That was more the issue, and I think I understand where it's coming from, because obviously if you've been growing up in an environment where you've only known a certain, Malaysians to be a certain group of people, a certain way, a certain, mannerisms, then it's going to be something. It's going to take time for you to get your head around these lads from the West, the different faces, different accents, different everything. It's going to take time for that. But I think it is getting better, because I compare it to the UK. Well, I sometimes say to people where in the UK, some people would say that I'm not English, because even though I was born there, because I'm not fully British, because my dad's side is actually Polish. So it's kind of like, okay, some people in Malaysia don't accept me, some people in England don't accept me. Obviously, I'm not Poland, even less, So I'm like, where the hell do I belong? You know what I mean? And I think it's the idea that it's not, to be Malaysian isn't a black and white thing. You don't have to be a certain way. There's I feel maybe in KL it's a bit more, but there's more mixed race kids and there's more mixed people. It's a bit more open. But yeah, whereas I would love to be. I feel now I'm considered more of the group, and obviously I've assimilated culturally as well. Sometimes it can be a bit frustrating, but I think I got asked about racism once before, with regards to African places and like that, and you're saying like, if someone's ignorant, they're ignorant. You can't blame them for being ignorant. You want to educate them. That's my opinion. So if someone has a certain way of looking at me because of their background and the way they've been brought up, then I can't hold that against them. I can only try and maybe show them a new way of looking at things. Obviously, there's a line. If it gets a bit too much, then they need to be put in their place. But coming into the situation with understanding rather than proving a point I think it's more helpful.
Nice. Well put. Okay, and just another question, have people warmed up to the idea that you're a Malaysian right now? Wherever you go to, have they warmed up to you?
Yeah, I think so, to my face. I don't know what they're saying behind my back. Well, yeah. Nah, you'd have to ask them, pal. Look, I've tried to come over here. I've tried to be open-minded. Growing up, someone asked me where you're from. Like I said, I got asked about the England team for the European Championships, and asked questions about. I'm sorry. I'm not.
No, okay, go ahead. No worries.
Go ahead.
Asked about their performances and that, and I was saying to them like, I'm a United fan. I don't really care about England. England doesn't mean that much to me. Being honest. No. I'm being legit. I feel like
Logan's heart being shattered because he supports England.
Oh really?
Yeah. I completely understand where you're coming from.
No, but
we do understand.
But there's such a breadth of people in the UK, and I think it's only now that I'm with the new lads coming in. When I see the likes of Sterling coming in, I see they're a bit more relatable. Whereas before, I couldn't relate to the England fans with the history maybe of. You saw what happened to Saka and the likes after they missed a penalty. That kind of thing. That's in the past has been what I've associated England to. We're going off on tangent, by the way. But this is what I've associated England fans to be. So I never felt that warmth and that welcoming. Whereas at Manchester United, Manchester's a multicultural city. There's people from all over the world. The idea is that everyone from wherever you're from, if you know what I mean, you're welcome, kind of thing. So, sorry, where's the question again?
But you've answered your question. I mean, you have answered your question quite well, actually.
Yeah, but
Going back to the idea of you being a Malaysian, yeah.
Yeah, but when I was back home, when people ask me when I'm young, where you're from, I'm from Manchester. But I'm also part Malaysian and I'm part Polish. That was my definition. That was my that's who I am. So for me, I think it's different. Like, obviously you've got players like Lee and Sergio in the team who've come and played for 5 years, and maybe Rommel might get the passports and all that. But for the mixed boys, I don't know. I can't speak for the players, but Malaysia's always been a part of my culture, a part of my identity. Just because that part of my identity is different to many of them, obviously to the people here, I don't think there's a right and a wrong way to be Malaysian, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, you're right.
You're right.
You mentioned something earlier about, I mean, you mentioned it kind of jokingly, where you said, they treat you well to your face, but that's an important part of it, because how the outside world treats you can be completely different from how you identify as a Malaysian, as a whatever. So, Brian asked that question in that vein. Do local coaches and foreign coaches treat players differently in general? If so, why do you think so?
Yeah. But again, I don't think that's because of something inherently bad inside of people, of wanting to treat people differently. Obviously, it's the cultural differences again. If Dollars, I've got a great relationship with Dollar and Fandi, but if Dollar has a closer relationship with one of the lads who is, with one of the lads who's been going to Mamat with, or going, who they pray together, they do, they go everything together, then that's life. If with Almeida, the reason I had such a great connection with him was because we'd go drinking after after the games and stuff like that. It's a fact of life. It's this kind of forced unity. I don't think that's papering over. It's not doing anything. The fact is there are cultural differences, and we need to accept that and even embrace it. But as I said, for me personally, the local coaches, I feel in general, maybe have, it's been more difficult for me to kind of prove myself to the local coaches because my game I'm not a Malaysian defender in the way I play, in my opinion. I'm more, I'd compare myself to more of a European style. And that's not saying, obviously, when I say Europe, I'm not talking about Europe. I'm talking about a low-level European style. You know what I mean? But in terms of where I'm not all action, I try and use my head a bit more. And sometimes, for me personally, it's been hard to kind of show my style of play to the local coaches. It's taken a bit longer. But with the likes of Satya, with Ella, and now with Dollar, I feel like maybe they see what I can do.
Last question for me. What does the future hold for Nicholas Swirad in the next, let's say, about 5 to 6 years?
Honestly, every year I just take it as it comes, mate. It's been 7 years now, I think. It's been incredible. But yeah, afterwards, I don't know. I've actually, one of the crazy experiences was obviously working with Astro as well, and getting to interview the Premier League players. And I still speak to the people there. That's something I enjoy incredibly, and it's something that I don't think I'm not a very good footballer. I don't think, but in terms of the as a presenter, I think I can do well with that. So.
You're definitely better than us, so yeah.
Yeah, don't be too humble.
Wait.
You're captaining Pahang right now.
I remember. What was it once? Remember Selangor when we got battered by Johor? away in Johor. I think we lost
In Johor, yes.
Yeah. Oh God, what a game! Bloody hell. So after that game, because I got, do you remember the tackle I did on Diogo?
Yes, I remember. I tweeted about it actually.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
But so after the game, I think the only time someone's tagged me in a bad comment is a bad comment was when someone said, "I think you better stick to presenting," and I was like, I agree with that, sweet. You know what I mean? I'm not arguing with that, you know.
Where was that comment made? I didn't see it.
Oh no, it was by one of the fans. You know, like usually I don't look at the stuff usually after, you know.
Right.
Yeah, but someone tagged me in it, so you know it comes on the feed and all that. I liked it, and I was like, yeah, maybe.
Okay, on that hilarious anecdote, I think we're going to shift a bit our direction today. You know, we talked about a lot of serious topics. Now we're going to have a bit of fun for our rapid fire session. So the rules are very simple: short answers, 1 or 2 sentences, if you can. And we're just going to ask you about global football and your kind of views as a fan, lah. All right. So the first question is very simple: on your favorite player of all time.
Oh wow! As a kid, it was Joaquin.
Yes, yes, he's mine as well. Okay, yes.
Brilliant. There we go. You're a good guy, Logan. I like you.
Now, from now on, if I see any bad tweets against you, I will come after that person. There's a personal matter. Yeah, exactly. All right. So why Roy Keane?
You're gonna be a busy guy, by the way.
Oh.
No. I remember one of the first books I read. My dad bought me his autobiography, and he encapsulated everything that I loved about as a player, as a person. I mean, he was just, you know, in the 90s, he was everything to Manchester United, wasn't he? I think the battles with him, Vieira, and oh wow, you're talking about unfortunately something that's probably not going to be repeated again in football, you know.
Yeah, very nearly was repeated last year, but thank God that didn't. All right, so Roy Keane's a great choice. Your most underrated player of all time.
Of all time? Oh, I don't know about that, you know. I'll give you a Malaysian answer. My Malaysian player. For me, when I was at JDT2, I played with the Fazail brothers.
Okay.
Yeah. Irfan Fazail, superb player. But I feel he's had the credit. I think Fazail, for me, was incredible. Absolutely incredible. And I'm talking about the deeper levels of understanding of the game, where, you know, like obviously Safawi's a fantastic player. He does the step overs, does all the fancy stuff. The kind of, you know, anyone can see that and say, hey, good player. But in terms of his position and his understanding of the game, I think Fazail was honestly different level. And I feel like maybe he doesn't get the appreciation outside of Johor, but there's a reason why, you know, he's always there or around the place down south.
But he is always highly rated. I mean, I think for the past 3-4 years, people have been talking about him.
Oh, really?
It's just that they haven't seen him much in the national jersey yet. You know, so that is the only talking part. But you are right. He's one of the best deep line playmakers I've watched in a while in Malaysian football, actually. Yeah.
Oh, mate, superb, honestly. But again, it's that understanding, which is, again, I feel like you don't see very often in Malaysian football. And this guy, because we were playing JDT2 together that year, he was incredible.
All right. So you may have answered the next question indirectly, but I'll ask it anyway. The best player you've played with and the best player you've played against.
Oh, so I'll go with Afiq for that. And against, is this like in Malaysia or in general?
Anywhere.
Oh, I feel Figueroa, superb. Figueroa was, I feel like in terms of playing against strikers in Malaysia, quite a lot of them either have physicality or they're kind of just consistently asking questions. Like Bergson, superb striker, you know, he constantly makes the runs, asks questions, and you need to maintain your focus. But there's another kind of striker where you don't see that often in Malaysia, to be honest, where he takes up positions which asks questions of me, and I'm not sure sometimes where to go or what to do because he takes up certain areas, and I'll be checking my shoulder, watching the ball, and then I turn my head. He's in a position. He's moved in that split second to a position where it's difficult to adapt to, and those kind of intelligent strikers, I've not come up against many, to be honest with you, in Malaysia, but he was one in Malaysia. In the bigger picture, I had a kickabout with Giuseppe Rossi once.
Giuseppe Rossi, okay.
The guy said, "Come down. There's have a kickabout," and he was up front because he's from New Jersey. So, talking about players of a high level, you know, when you just see somebody who can just do anything. It was an amazing player, and even though he was a bit tubby at the time, he's at Fiorentina. I don't think he cared so much, but still, he was incredible. And also, I don't know if I played directly against him because I was a young lad at the time. So I might have come on for a little bit. I might have been on the bench. I can't remember. But Jamie Vardy, obviously after what he's done, he came through the non-league. He made his progression when I was starting in non-league. So there's a few times our team played against him, and obviously he was a handful.
So when we put up your, the promo for this show on Instagram, Pascal Chimbonda liked the post. Is he a friend of yours or something?
No, Pascal's. I met Pascal through Man on the Street.
That's so okay.
Right.
But he lives in Manchester now, so he's like mates with mates, and one of his best mates I used to play football with. So there's quite an amazing guy. Again, crazy, absolutely crazy. But amazing guy, you know. I'm not sure I'd want to share an apartment with him, you know, like my mate was, because my mate shared an apartment with him before when I was playing football with him. He was going, you know, he'd come back and say, "Oh, I'm going out with Pascal tonight," and you know, he's playing for, I think it was Wigan at the time, I can't remember, but I can't imagine spending too much time with him. But for a night out, he'd be unbelievable, I'm sure.
Some really fantastic stories we're getting. Okay, so the next section is we're going to ask you to pick the team you cheer for in these big derbies. All right. So the first one, Inter Milan versus AC Milan. Who do you cheer for?
Oh, Inter AC. I love Maldini. I'd have to go for AC.
Oh, okay. Nice. Rangers, Celtic.
Celtic. My family's very, very the Celtic side of the spectrum, if you know.
Okay. All right. Well, it makes sense because of Keane as well. All right. Madrid versus Barcelona.
It's a weird on that. I think I like Barcelona's kind of independence and, you know, and the whole story behind them. But I feel like the clientele. I've been speaking to players, you know, people who've been there. Said the clientele's a bit posher kind of thing than. So I feel like my dad's raised me to kind of go for the working. I don't know actually if Madrid's like that, but one of my best mates is a Madrid fan, so I'll go for Madrid.
All right, Madrid, yeah. Okay, so this next one will be a bit painful for Avi, I hope. Arsenal versus Tottenham.
Oh, you know what? One of my best mates, Jules Dave. He's a West Ham fan, and he cannot stand Spurs. Like, honestly, he says the word Spurs, the word vile, always next to it.
Wow.
He hates them with a passion. So I think he's messaging me now on WhatsApp. I'll have to say Arsenal, but there's with the battles that Manchester United have had with them over the years, there's always an underlying respect there. You know what I mean? The way the club conducts itself, and you know, they are a little bit of respect, Avinash, just a little.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's okay, I understand. No problem.
Yeah, especially with Van Persie as well, which is the jersey behind Avi. Yeah. Thank you for giving it.
Nice one for that, mate.
All right. So now we're going to ask you to kind of use your crystal ball and make some big predictions for the coming year in football. Who is going to win the Premier League title for this coming season? It looks like it, right?
Oh, right, yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm looking forward to going back and hopefully catching a game, because as much as I'm obviously a United fan, like my dad, you know, me and my dad and my mum, you know, we're football fans, and you got to just marvel at them. Honestly, Logan, have you been to Manchester before? Have you been to Old Trafford in England?
No. Hopefully soon, but no.
No, you need to go, mate. But the match day experience at City compared to United it's a different level. Honestly, it's I heard Gary Neville talking about the Glazers' investment in terms of the club, the training ground, and the stadium, and that. And he's right what he says. You go to Man City, they're so far ahead. I don't know. Unfortunately, I don't know if we're ever going to catch them in the foreseeable future.
It may take a while, and definitely it'll take different owners, I think, as well.
Yeah.
And now they've got Haaland as well.
Yeah. You saw
what is that play? I don't know. Oh, good Lord.
He only had 100 touches in 5 games. 4 games. And he scored, 5 games. And he scored 9 goals. Oh my God, he's a robot.
Okay, just a random thought. Is he the best striker in the world right now?
Yeah, probably, yeah. Yeah, you have to say.
Yeah,
you have to say so, yeah. He's incredible, though. He's unplayable. The positions he takes up. But then, who was it? I can't remember. There's a few times now. He's in between two. He takes a position.
Exactly, he's in between. He's huge, and yet he can just go past them.
Yeah, like the goal. Who was it the other day? Who were they playing? Was it Crystal Palace?
Yes.
The guy,
It was Joachim Anderson, right? He just kind of.
Yeah,
Joachim Anderson is superb. Holds him off.
Yep.
He's taking 3 touches, and then it's incredible. Honestly.
Scary. All right. So, are City going to win their first Champions League? Do you think?
I've been told that PSG have a very good chance by Martial and Samassa.
Okay.
Yeah. Apparently they're. I don't watch much of the French league, but apparently they're a different level. But I really hope City don't do it. I mean, it'll be awful. It was painful watching them win the first trophy. What was it? They won the Thailand Cup back in the day, and then taking the banner down from Old Trafford and all that stuff. It's been awful to see, hasn't it? But I watched the game. I watched the Madrid game, the semi-final with the lads. Was it with Johan and Lee and all that? And mate, it was fantastic. It was absolutely brilliant. Just like it's keeping your place just a little bit longer, man. We've got to embrace and enjoy it while we can. But yeah, I think City, though. To be honest.
Right. So we move to the international scene. Who's going to win the World Cup? I don't think it's England. So.
Who knows? Honestly, it's a tough one. I think England have, they have a very good chance. I feel like they've only been improving and improving. I don't know. For me personally, I'm actually going to the World Cup with my dad. I bought tickets the day after the Malaysia Cup final. I've just found out as well. So it's a tight one.
You're going for the group stages.
Yeah. So there's like packages available. So we're actually going to watch Poland versus Argentina, hopefully. I'd like to see Argentina do well. They've obviously had the success in Brazil the other year, so we'll see. But honestly, I think England have a very good chance. It's just I think the experiences they've had now, it's culminating. So I'm not saying I'll be celebrating that much because I don't really care too much, to be honest with you. But yeah, maybe England.
All right. Okay. So now this is something new. We've never done this on the show before, but because you're a centre back, we want you to pick who is the best centre back out of these two. All right. So the first one, Virgil van Dijk or Vincent Kompany. Who do you rate higher?
I think Van Dijk all round Van Dijk. But in terms of effectiveness and influence on the team, maybe Kompany a little bit more, because even though he probably doesn't have the whole footballing ability that Van Dijk has, Kompany was without him, City were a different kettle of fish.
Right. Okay. Nesta or Cannavaro?
I'm going to go for Cannavaro because he was a bit smaller. I like the small centre back.
All right, solidarity with Martinez. I get you. Yeah. Right. Okay, next one. PK or Puyol?
I'm gonna,
The same one.
again, no. I'm gonna have to say the same. Puyol was like, I think honestly, if as a centre back, if I play with a really, really big, big centre back, I always think that his route to getting to where I am in that moment has probably been a little bit easier. Like you're talking about goalkeepers as well.
Right.
If you're a smaller goalkeeper, you're a smaller centre back, it's a bit more difficult to get through. I think for me personally as well, as a player coming through, playing some grassroots football in the UK, no one ever had a look at a 6 foot centre back or 5 foot 11 and 3. No one. You're never going to get looked at if you're that stature. So to make it to that level, you must be so good. And for that, I have to go Puyol.
All right. So this may be the toughest one. Rio Ferdinand or Nemanja Vidic?
I'm going to go Rio.
Actually, I would too. I don't know why.
No, again, Vidic, superb. But I've met Rio once or twice when I was at work back in Manchester, and he's always a really, really, really like humble, nice guy, and he's someone when I was younger I looked up to massively. So Rio.
Okay, so I think I've saved the final question. I didn't give you this earlier, but this is my hardest question, lah. Give us your honest thoughts on Harry Maguire. How good or how bad is this guy as a centre back yourself?
Nah, I've never. We've seen what he can do. Like we've seen what he can do, and we know that he's got quality. I think it's as a fan and someone on the outside, we only see a snippet of what's truly going on behind the scenes of the person. And like, I know it's not a headline answer, but we don't know what he's going through. You don't know what's happening behind the scenes. The amount of pressure, like it's a running joke at training at Pahang. If you're a centre back and you do a bad pass, they call you Harry Maguire.
No,
it's
but it's
this guy's a laughing. He's a laughing stock, to be honest with you, isn't he? Putting it bluntly. So I don't know whether United is the wrong club for him, the wrong fit for him. Maybe it is a bit too much pressure, a bit too much expectation. I don't know. You'd have to ask him. But having seen what he did, I saw him play for me. My dad went to watch him play at Sheffield United back in the day,
Mm-hmm.
And to see he's come up from Sheffield United. Where was he at? Was he at Hull after that? I can't remember. And then he's then to Leicester, and then I see the journey he's been on and what he's been through and all that stuff. I can't criticize the guy. I could never criticize someone like that. And it's easy to do, and as fans, I understand. But in terms of understanding, this guy is a human being as well. Nah, it's too easy to make him a scapegoat.
Yeah, I think that's very well said, because to be fair, Martial has that same problem as well. Just going off on a tangent a bit. A lot of fans like to kind of pick on certain players who don't fit like that. All action, flashy. Maguire maybe lacks a bit of pace and all this kind of thing. But I mean, for England, he's pretty good, and I kind of blame the hole in the midfield that he has to face. The fact that Fred and McTominay were the engine room for a while, that doesn't help him. But yeah. Anyway, we could talk about. Yeah, sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say, like, obviously he's got his strengths and his weaknesses too. Like everyone, he isn't the most mobile person. The most mobile player, and I feel like if you're playing in a high pressing team, which Ten Hag and previous coaches have wanted to do, you're going to be exposed. If you're playing for Leicester or Leicester team where you're going to play more, you're going to be more defensive and playing the counter attack. It's a bit more easier to paper over the cracks. So yeah, maybe it's just not a right fit.
Yeah, and maybe that's why he works better for England than thing. But anyway, Nick, honestly, I think we could talk for another 2 hours, with you. But unfortunately, we don't want to keep you too long. It has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
No, thanks, mate. It was good to see us. Appreciate the shout.
Yeah. Once again, I would just want to thank all the viewers, and of course, as always, you can follow us. For more information on the next show, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, we're everywhere. Thank you as well to our sponsor today, Avi. The name again, please. Panda
Panda Speed Shop.
Speed Shop. There you go. I just want to repeat it every word slowly so you guys get it in your head. Check them out, and of course follow Nick, follow us everywhere you can on Twitter. Don't follow us physically, but
Nick, is it okay if we call you working class hero? I mean, I feel inspired today hearing your stories and all.
I mean, I'm not the kind of guy who's going to say, yeah, call me that. But if you want to call me that, whatever, mate. Yeah, I'll go with that.
Avi's crafting his next headline already, so
No. Small matter, mate. Small matter. It's all good.
All right. Okay, then. So, once again, from all of us, good night. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you in the next show of the Armchair. Have a
Thanks,
great
guys.
one, everyone.